Exit strategies, do part 2, which means it's part 1. So go check out part 1 so you can jump in on this one. I'm Reid Mahalko from readaboutsex.com and Sex Geek Summer Camp, and when I'm wearing my Sex Geek Summer Camp shirt, that means we're talking about business for sex educators. This is Cathy Bartuli from the intimacydojo.com. We'll also usually mention when we talk about businessy stuff, Rick Wilkes from thrivingnow.com, which Cathy and Rick do that business together because Cathy's very polyamorous, has lots of business partners. All right, exit strategies.
You want to talk about fair versus equal?
No. I want to do exit strategies, and then we'll do another video about fair versus equal. So you were talking about. I want to reiterate this piece because I think it's useful. The way that you and Rick. Oh, this is why. So we started talking about on other videos. Just watch these videos about being poly in your relationships and being primary wired in your poly. So if you're polyamorous or in your business, meaning that you do business with a bunch of different people, like Cathy does, or you do projects you co-teach and co-create with a bunch of different people. So these are if you like to work with a lot of different people, then you can consider yourself kind of poly versus monogamous, where you only work with one person or build a team, a company. This means that you'll have more breakups if you're polyamorous. Like you could dissolve a bunch of different companies rather than just one. So having these exit strategies and knowing what your needs are for breaking up, for transitioning out of a company, or having your partner transition out will smooth things over. And one of the things that people fight about and really fumble, and it creates a lot of frustration and anger, is the money piece. And then you and Rick have a really interesting take on how you share things getting out of the business.
Right.
So go over quickly the IP stuff, the email list stuff, and then the money. Because those three things, if you're an internet marketer kind of thing, those are three like landmines that people don't think to talk about.
So for intellectual property, we both own any material we create together. As long as both of our names are on the program or whatever, we both co-own that. We both can use it as we like. We get we have a standard 10% cost of sales for online products because the credit card company takes some money. There's administrative fees, that sort of thing. So we take 10% right off the top for whoever sells that product. If Rick
running their shopping cart.
Right. So if Rick and I split up and we each have our own business, if he sells it from his store or if Reid sold it from his store, there's a 10% off the top for administrative. But after that, it's split 50-50. And one of the nice things is it's the amount that's brought in. So if one of us is doing a summit where we're offering a discounted fee, we're allowed to use it as part of the summit. We're allowed to contribute that as part of that, and we might be selling it for 25% of the original cost, but we still split
the 25%.
Yeah, so each of us gets 45% of that, the income from that, and that's how that's our agreement. So that if we split up, or even if I wanted to go and do a summit myself, I can take things that we co-own, and I can run with it. It's not locked in. I don't have to get his permission or track him down. I just can't devalue the agreement is we're not going to try to devalue the program.
You're not going to try to undersell each other.
Right.
But if you gave something away for free that was a paid thing,
like
as a free bonus, it still benefits him because he's in the program.
Right, he's getting exposure.
Got it.
So it wouldn't say, oh, this is cheaper. I wouldn't be advertising, get it cheaper than Thriving Now. That would be undermining each other.
Fuck you!
But it's that kind of split I really like it. Each of us owns the copyright. And then if one of us, we talked about a little bit in the previous video, if one of us wants to recut it ourselves or with somebody else, because after a while, like you have new information, it might have been out of date. We have a 2 year. 2 years after the release of the program, I could go and say, hey, I know we cut that together, but I'm going to cut the program myself or with somebody else.
Because you guys share the intellectual property. It's not intellectual property that you can use only if Rick's present.
Right.
Got it.
And that makes it really easy and relaxed. We get to co-create together and create something without feeling locked in. Like, am I allowed to use this concept because we talked about this in this program? What was the next? The
email list.
Oh yeah. So the email list for this, and again, Rick and I co-own the business. It's ours together. Each of us gets a copy of the email list, and we have to inform them, because like if whoever ends up with Thriving Now has that list, belongs to that. We promise never to sell it, but we can say, hey, I'm moving away from that. I'm inviting you to be part of a different list. So whoever doesn't get the business would have to invite people to opt in, but we each get to mail to that list to move forward. It's not like the business goes away and my like if Rick kept the business, if we agreed to the money and he kept the business, it's not like I lose the list, but I'd have to invite them to come over to my topic. Sure.
Is there anything around emailing that piece or the intellectual property that you guys have like veto power over?
Yeah, like if Thriving Now right now is a relatively PG-13. We do talk about sexual and intimacy issues, but at a rather outside in the open email, it's not. We don't talk explicitly about fucking. So if I wanted to send something that was well outside the normal range that people opted in for, he could say no, you don't get to mail that. Or if I suddenly wanted to go into dog fighting or something that's totally off topic, in that case, call somebody.
Tapping techniques for your fighting dogs. So.
Yeah, like if it was totally off topic, we could say, don't do that.
Okay. And then last but not least, money. How do you guys do money?
In terms of the business.
If you want to share. I mean, this is...
Yeah, I don't mind it. But I'm not sure what your question is.
Like, as you're exiting,
okay.
How does money work? Like, how did you get... This is where the piece I think is really brilliant around how you guys buy each other out.
Yeah. So if we've agreed that we're not going to work together anymore, we've gone through our exit strategy and had our try to mediate, and it's not working, we can divide the business by, or we can take, one of us can offer to buy the other person out. And what's written is if, say I make the offer, and I offer, say I'm just going to make a number, $100,000 to Rick for Thriving Now, he can say, no, I will give you $100,000 for the business. I have to take it. So I would only make offers that I would be willing to accept, and it keeps the fighting and the conflict way down.
Yeah. So I just think that piece is really brilliant, and I think that piece is probably brilliant in a relationship way too. Figuring out in your romantic relationships, like if you owned a house together.
And I have to give Rick credit for that. That was his idea when I was relatively new for business. I'm like, wow, that's really a great idea.
So it kind of keeps people honest that if I'm going to make you an offer, I have to accept that offer if you counter offer. It's just interesting. And again, there's no right or wrong way to do this other than if you feel cheated, frustrated, passive aggressive, and now you're like, it's a knife fight and you're stabbing each other in the back, that's probably how you measure that you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, how can you leave each other feeling seen, respected, understanding that you may have grief and upset from having things transition, because usually the person who's upset, things were going great for them, but they need to be going great for the 2 people involved or the 3 or the 4 people involved in the company, which is different than, there's just some turbulence because you're working through something.
Yeah, and I like the way we have it set up. We each have maximum freedom. I can work with whoever I want. I can't bring whoever I want into Thriving Now. Like I can say, hey, Rick, I met this really cool guy, Reid. He has this really great topic on awkward. Is it okay if we, let's do that together? And he loved it. We do bring other people in, but we each get veto power over that. Like, no, you can't do that.
Because they're in a primary relationship where they have to consider each other. Whereas in our working relationship, I basically get to call the shots because it's my company. Cathy can weigh in on things, but we're not in a primary relationship in my company.
Right. And as long as it's clear and both people have agreed, that's fine. Like, it's really comfortable for me. There's not a problem with that. But if I thought we were in a primary relationship and that was how it was, I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with him? So there's ways to kind of talk about
the difference between you've just been sleeping over for a week versus
you moved in.
I thought we were roommates.
I let my lease go. What are you talking about?
What? Leave your comments. This video got long. We apologize. We hope it's been useful. Is this information useful? Let us know.